Good Friday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us on the broadcast today. We are live in Charlottesville, across Central Virginia, the Commonwealth of the country and the world, on the I Love CVille Network. It is truly our pleasure to connect with you guys through this interactive and dynamic platform. If you'd like to offer perspective or thoughts or questions, even change the pace and tempo of this conversation, put your comments in the feed on any of the social media platforms you're watching upon. Today's program is going to be one of reflection. Today's program is going to be one of open-ended questions. Today's program is going to come with a mission statement of what do we need in this community to truly embody this world-class moniker that's either bestowed upon us by media outlets or the moniker that we choose to embrace ourselves as Central Virginians. Put the thoughts in the feed, give the show a like and a share. Kelly Jackson's going to join us in about 15 minutes on the show. We're going to talk a couple of questions with Kelly. We're going to talk this question: will commercial landlords adjust their rent rates to help businesses get back on track as we come out of COVID? We will also ask this question with Kelly Jackson: what are the investors who've been able to save money throughout this pandemic and now are ready to put that money into action? Where's that money going to be invested in this community? Where are investors going to put their hard-earned dollars? What new CVille businesses and what new Central Virginia businesses can we expect on the near horizon? And how have vaccinations helped Charlottesville besides just a consumer confidence standpoint? A lot to unpack there. We'll do that with KJ in 14 minutes. I'm going to show you a video from Patty Zeller, the owner of Animal Connection. And this video is about 30, 45 seconds long. It's going to be one of many indicators of why she has had tremendous success as a retailer at Animal Connection and in nearly 20 years of running a brick and mortar business, guys. We'll talk so much on today's show. If you could give it a like and a share anywhere you're watching, that would mean the absolute world to us. I want to start with this, Judah. I want to start first with sports. Quickly but efficiently, Jay Huff has announced his intentions to turn pro. He's declared for the NBA draft. Jay Huff, a unicorn in so many ways. The man redshirts. The man was playing this past season as a fifth year. The man is married. I mean, you don't get a lot of college basketball players who are married. Jay Huff had the opportunity to return to the university for a 6th year of college basketball because the NCAA granted all players the option to return another year, no matter their status from a junior, senior, freshman, sophomore standpoint. Jay said, look, I'm married. I got to make a living now. I have a family. The University of Virginia has been fantastic to me, but it's my time to turn pro. I'm going to read Jay Huff's Instagram post to you in a matter of moments. I thought it was something that was truly special. Judah, this is verbatim from Mr. Jay Huff. As much as I wanted to do a post saying I was coming back for a 6th year as an April Fool's Day joke, I decided to take the high road this year. I've declared for the NBA draft. I can't thank God enough for the blessings He's given me during my time here. He blessed me with an amazing wife, friends who I now consider family, teammates and coaches who care about me as more than a player, and a fun career. I look forward to what He has in store for me and how I can serve Him at the next level. Wahoo wah. And that's Jay Huff. You know, I think about the players that Tony Bennett has brought into the University of Virginia and the players that have matriculated through his program at the University of Virginia. And the first thing that comes to mind with these individuals, these gentlemen, is not talented athletes. And yes, they are extremely talented. The first thing that comes to mind is just good people. People who embody the qualities that Coach Tony Bennett embodies. They have a servant's heart. They have a mentality of playing within the structure of a team, even to the point of it potentially diminishing their NBA draft stock. Because playing with this team does not allow an athlete to showcase how high he can jump, how fast he can run, allow him to take 20 shots from the field to try to up his scoring average. You're playing within a structure. And that structure is a team-first mentality. Tony Bennett is matriculating and he's graduating and he's pushing through his program ambassadors of the university and ambassadors of his mentality. Malcolm Brogdon is one of the better players in the National Basketball Association. But I think Malcolm Brogdon's true potential is not as an NBA player. Malcolm Brogdon's true potential is bringing clean drinking water to those that don't have it in Africa. Malcolm Brogdon's true potential is what's after his playing career when he gets into public office and he chooses to lead by example as an elected official. Malcolm Brogdon is one example of many. You look at Jay Huff. This guy was asked to redshirt. This guy was asked to sacrifice minutes. This guy was asked to play second or third fiddle throughout his career when in many programs, a 7'1" center who could block and shoot from downtown would have been the focal point of so many college programs. He did this without complaint. Jay Huff, just like Malcolm Brogdon, just like Ty Jerome, just like Kyle Guy and DeAndre Hunter, are not only ambassadors of a basketball program, but they're evangelists and tremendous representations of the university in totality. They epitomize student athlete. And those are the kind of guys that Coach Tony Bennett gets to come to Charlottesville. Now, I'm going to cut to the chase. You got Jay Huff gone. You got Sam Hauser gone. You got McCoy transferring. Morcell transferring. You got Woody. Thomas is likely turning pro despite the opportunity to come back again. You got Abdul Rahim transferring. Right now, Trey Murphy 3 Sticks is likely going to declare for the NBA. That doesn't mean he's going to turn pro. He's going to test the draft waters and see what the coaches and what the scouts are saying from a draft position standpoint for Trey Murphy 3 Sticks. Do I expect Trey Murphy 3 Sticks to return to the university next year? I absolutely do. The cupboard may be bare right now, and we all may be concerned. But think about this. UVA basketball is a regular season champion of the ACC. They get their tournament ACC cut short because of COVID, and they fall short in the NCAA tournament to an upstart Ohio team. We're Wahoo Nation, and we got a little sour taste in our mouth despite being the regular season champion in the ACC conference and earning a big dance berth. That's how high Coach Bennett has set the bar for this program. I believe in him. I believe in him. And I think he's going to use this transfer portal to restock the cupboard. And I think this team is going to be a contender next year because of Tony Bennett. Jay Huff, Sam Hauser, Thomas Woolden Tenstye, and potentially Trey Murphy III. I wish you the best of luck in however you pursue your basketball careers. And same for McCoy and Morcell and Abdul Rahim. No resentment to the 3 gentlemen who chose to transfer and to the guys who chose to bypass that extra year of NCAA eligibility. No resentment at all from me. Now, the next topic I want to cover is one that I think is going to hit close to home. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. We get called this world-class city by so many media publications. Best place to live, best place to retire, best place to start a business, best music scene for a small town, best place for restaurants and for foodies for a small town. Heck, depending on who you ask, we have the 14 most restaurants per capita in the entire nation in a 10.2 square mile city, a city we call Charlottesville. So much going for us, but so much left to do. I want to ask you these questions. What does Albemarle County need to be an even better place to live? What does the city of Charlottesville need to be an even better place to live? How about Central Virginia in totality? What do we need to be an even better region for people to move to? I have some ideas I want to run by you, and I have some questions that I'd like to ask you for maybe you to provide some suggestions so we can all grow together. First, I think we got to figure out a way to make this community more socially and financially equitable. I think we need to close an education gap that, without question, has widened because of COVID. We have private schools that have the luxury of learning in person. We have public schools for the last 3 semesters that have essentially learned virtually. When students of means are able to learn in a classroom amongst their peers with a teacher in front of a chalkboard, teaching them through textbooks in person, and then when students that don't have the financial means are learning through a computer screen at home, the education gap has widened, not narrowed. You look around from a housing standpoint, and you have homes in a neighborhood like Belmont that are 700, 800 square feet, 60, 70 years old, that are trading for nearly $500,000, if not more. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to walk down the downtown mall, the West Main Street, and the UVA corner and see the majority of the people you're walking down these 3 main corridors, the 3 most important in the city, are all white. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that as the cost of housing upticks, the community becomes more, is the word, Judah, homogenous? Homogenized. Thank you, my friend. More homogenized. As the cost of housing upticks, the community becomes more homogenized. Meaning we start looking like each other and not embodying the diversity we need to get the eclectic thought, to get the challenging perspectives or the different backgrounds to grow as people. So I'm going to ask you, what do we need as a city, as a county, and a region to better ourselves? From my standpoint, finding broadband across the Central Virginia region, and we're huge champions of Ting because we've seen firsthand the benefit of Ting with this network when compared to Comcast or Xfinity. It's not even close. But until the broadband, now almost a public utility, becomes ubiquitous, reliable, and accessible to everyone in this 300,000 person region, we are going to be left with educational inequalities, wealth inequalities, and affordable housing inequalities. Folks are choosing to move to the outer counties because that's what they can afford. The savings that they are enjoying from a cost of living or a housing standpoint are being diminished or wasted in fuel and gasoline costs, in wear and tear on vehicles when driving to the epicenter of employment, the city of Charlottesville. The savings families are enjoying by moving to outer counties in Central Virginia are being impacted because their children don't have the reliable internet or broadband they need to learn at home or to do the research from a homework standpoint once they get back in the classroom. It sounds so, I don't want to say trivial, but if 300,000 people in this region don't have the same access to broadband internet? How can we narrow the wealth, education, and affordable housing gap? From my standpoint, one of the first priorities the Central Virginia region needs, Albemarle County in totality, the city of Charlottesville needs, is to figure out the broadband issue. Another priority, I think, that must be emphasized in Central Virginia, in Albemarle County, and in the city of Charlottesville is the prioritization of economic growth, entrepreneurs, and small business ownership and new job creation across the region. Economic growth, new job creation, and the support that small business owners need is how we narrow the wealth gap, the education gap, the affordable housing gap. It's paramount we showcase the value proposition of business ownership. My company is 13 years old on May 31st. I launched this business in 2008 in a housing recession in a condo down 5th Street Extended in the Villas at Southern Ridge condo complex. The first 6 months of launching this business, I had 0 clients, and I watched my little savings dwindle next to nothing. It forced me to ask my best friends to move into the 2 extra rooms I had in this condo. If they had not have done that, I would have lost my place because I would not have been able to afford the mortgage. I was going to McDonald's and eating a double cheeseburger for $1.04, and that was my only food for the day. And when it wasn't McDonald's, it was the $4.95 Panna Garden Buffet by Lambeth Commons, kind of close to Barracks Road Shopping Center. I'd bring Ziploc bags and scoop the food into the Ziploc bags when the owners of the buffet were not watching, and that was my food for a couple of days, and that was Lucy, the beautiful brown dog's food, for a couple of days as well. What I learned from launching this business that now offers a salary to an individual by the name of Judah Wickhauer that I call family, that puts food on the table for my little boy and my wife, that covers both our family's overhead. What I've learned from this nearly 13 years of doing this is the power of entrepreneurship and small business creation and what it can do not only for the proprietor of the business, but those that are associated with the company and along the supply chain. We've created a network in this I Love CVille Network that not only is bringing knowledge to the community, but is allowing our partners in business to get brand awareness for their respective firms, driving incremental revenue for their firms, allowing them to hire more people because of that brand awareness, enhanced exposure, and additional incremental revenue. Fostering a community that encourages entrepreneurship is one of the silver buckshots, Keith Smith. Not a silver bullet, how we're going to close this equity gap. It's a silver buckshot. And in that silver buckshot is the need to teach folks that business creation is within reason and a possibility. We must demystify this. We must demystify this thought that a CEO or a small business owner is someone of deep-pocketed means or someone that has 4, 6, 8 years of college education. That's not a reality. We must demystify the concept that you need 20% down to purchase a home. And the crib might cost $400K, and the thought is you need $80K down to buy it. That's not the case anymore. If we can figure out approachable, reliable broadband, if we can figure out how to prioritize folks to start their own businesses, something that they could utilize to create generational wealth for family members to come, if we can prioritize reliable and ubiquitous transportation across Central Virginia, helping the folks that had to move to the outer counties for housing because that's all they could afford, and allowing them to keep their vehicle in their garage and get on a bus so they can get to the epicenter of employment for $1.25, that's going to narrow the wealth gap, that's going to narrow the education gap, and that's going to create a more eclectic community, a more diverse community. And that's what we all want, at least most of us do. And how about school and early start funding? Why do so many in this community, in the community I call Central Virginia, why do so many not have access to early education and early schooling? I'm talking preschool, if not before. Why is the first time a young man or a little boy or a little girl, why is the first time they are in school kindergarten? Think about the advantage a little boy or a little girl has if he or she has been going to daycare, whether it's at a church, whether it's at an ACAC, whether it's at a YMCA. And this 2-year-old and this 3-year-old has been in a structured setting with the teacher in front of the classroom. Of course, that little boy or little girl is going to be better suited for kindergarten. And think about the flip side of the coin. The little boy or the little girl, the first time they put the backpack on and walk into the hallway is as a kindergartner. And their peers have been doing this for 2 or 3 years. We must prioritize early start funding across Central Virginia. Early start education. Those are some ideas I've had. And I've been thinking long and hard about this of late. What would make this region better for you? What would make this city better for you? What would make Albemarle County and Fluvanna and Nelson and Greene and Orange and Gordonsville and Goochland better for you? These are topics I want to cover throughout 2021 on the I Love CVille Show. Now I have some big questions I need to ask. Questions that are tied to commercial landlords. Questions that are tied to the businesses that are going to open on the other side of this pandemic. Questions that are tied to investors and what they're going to allocate their capital to as we get through this pandemic. And for that, we're going to welcome Kelly Jackson, who's looking quite dapper with her blue glasses and her blue Patagonia that match the glasses. Kelly Jackson, a friend of this show, and the Blue Yeti. Cheers, my friend. You thought your outfit is popping right now, girl.
I didn't even plan it. And like my lamp matches, I'm like matchy all over the place.
KJ, my friend, the show is yours. Commercial landlords and whether or not they're willing to give price breaks to locally owned businesses, or if they keep the rent rolls the same and what that could do for the community, the show is yours.
I'm going to speak in general terms because I'm not calling out my landlords. But friends that I have in businesses that own small restaurants or other retail shops, the landlords are not currently working with anybody, at least those of my friends that I know. And I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to hold on them tight, hope that the economy, comes back to where it is. But I guess the question I have for you, Jerry, is after COVID, who's going to be able to afford to open a new business with these rent prices? Right?
I would say you're probably looking at a lot of Sprints, a lot of Verizons, a lot of hair cutteries, a lot of ABC stores, and unfortunately, no mom and pops.
I mean, I hope that's not the case because I think that's why Charlottesville and Central Virginia is so amazing and makes us so unique. And as a business owner, but also somebody who lives here and loves it, what can we do as citizens to change the way these big box retail companies are thinking? What can we say to these landlords as a community of, hey, we don't want that here? Do we just show how we feel by not going to those places? That's what I would recommend.
I'll throw this to you. And you have more perspective on this than I do. You have in Charlottesville and in the urban ring, you have a handful of shopping districts. We have Barracks Road Shopping Center. We have 5th Street Station.
Yeah.
We have Stonefield.
Right.
We have Hollymead. I would say those are the 4 primary shopping districts that do the most revenue. Then you have a next tier of shopping districts that are probably the UVA corner,
Right.
the downtown mall,
Right.
West Main, and then probably another tier, definitely another tier below that. The first tier, Barracks Road, Hollymead, 5th Street Station, and Stonefield, these are either publicly traded companies that are landlords or they're private equity firms that aren't even tied to the community so they could care less about us.
Right, they don't care.
They don't care, okay? So let's take that first tier of 4. What the heck can we do when it's a publicly traded company or a private equity firm that does not care about the community?
I think you figure out who owns the places that are going into those locations. Are they big box companies, like a national brand? Or is it somebody like me who we own a national brand, but we're local and we're privately owned as a family? Let's figure out who's owning these different shops and support those ones that are locally owned. The big box shops that are going in there, if we don't give them our business, they're going to leave those centers and other big box places are going to not want to go in. And I think that's how you're going to have to force their hand. What do you think?
I think you're 100% right. I mean, let's take 5th Street Station. There is a Sprint store directly across from a Verizon store. How does that provide any value for 5th Street Station?
Well, is Sprint even a thing anymore?
Good question.
I mean, I really don't know. Like, I thought it was like whittled down to like Verizon and Verizon. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Let's take the next tier. The UVA corner, the downtown mall, West Main, the locally owned businesses and the mom and pops there. Downtown mall means a heck of a lot to you. We got a vacancy rate, KJ, that's like 20% right now on 8 blocks of downtown Charlottesville. Anywhere you want to go downtown.
If you are listening, if you are one of these landlords, it would speak highly of you and look great for you in the community if you start working with people. Reach out to some local brands, local restaurants that you know and love that might be at other locations. Cut them a break for the next couple of years to open a second location. You're making some money is better than making no money, in my opinion. Right?
I agree 100%. So you're basically saying you got a vacancy rate of 20%. Maybe you consider dropping that rent and get somebody in there. And frankly, the downtown mall is owned by a handful of people. You got Mr. Lewis, who owns a large portion of the downtown mall. You got Joe Geek, who owns a large portion of the downtown mall. Alan Kajin, Ludwig Kutner, who own a large portion of the downtown mall. I mean, it really is 5. Joan Fenton owns a large portion of the downtown mall. You got 5 or 6 people that own these 8 blocks. So you would hope that they see the forest through the trees and are willing to hedge and get at least somebody in there because it's going to create traffic to these 8 blocks.
Right. And why do we have to always think about things in a box? Just because leases are always been done this certain way. Well, things aren't the way they used to be. End of story, right? So let's think outside of the box. Maybe you create a contract that's a percentage of sales. Maybe that then the lease fluctuates month to month depending on how the business is doing. Is that an option? I would think that would be an option.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that is a common practice that is utilized with bigger brand restaurants. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
So walk us through, educate us. You're teaching us here. Walk us through the mechanics of this.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the one that should be schooling anybody on numbers. I'm like the worst, Jerry. But essentially, when you're setting up contracts or lease agreements, you can really structure it any way you want, right? So in a lot of bigger brands, they do less per square footage, but do a percentage of sales. So you're paying less than, let's say, the person down the street, that's just, they're paying $5,000 a month no matter what. If sales are good or bad. But other leases can be structured based off of, you're obviously paying a set amount per square footage, but it's less because you tacked on the percentage.
Are you nervous, scared, optimistic, concerned about downtown, West Main, and or the UVA corner?
I am not concerned about the corner. The only reason I say that is because those businesses are going to do well regardless of what happens, because they have the 50,000 students or however many students at UVA that are automatically going to go there regardless if the food is good or bad.
Okay, let me interject. Michael's Bistro and Little John's, both closed.
But I think that real estate is too good. It's not going to stay empty for long, is my guess. Somebody, who made a ton of money off of COVID is going to find some sort of concept, find somebody to run it and put it in there.
Okay.
I think.
That leads me to the next question. Something that you and I have been bantering back and forth. We're coming out of this. Vaccinations are getting in people's arms. I think the CDC just said it's safe to travel abroad. I think I just read that.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, this morning they said that. So we're clearly getting, on the other side of this. Where's the investor money going to go?
In Charlottesville and Central Virginia?
Yes.
I think it's going to continue to be in real estate. And I think we're going to see those houses like in Belmont and everywhere else. I think those prices are going to raise even more, right? I think people are going to invest in land outside of Charlottesville and Albemarle, thinking that in the next couple of years, we're going to run out of space here. And we're going to grow more towards Culpeper or grow more towards Waynesboro or, from Zions to Richmond. There's that big empty space. I think people are going to start buying land out there. And I think people are going to start investing in agricultural projects.
Ooh, talk to me about that.
Well, a lot of rules and legalization of marijuana is coming to coming to Virginia. That's a cash cow. And, Virginia has a lot of tobacco farmers and growers, right? I'm guessing that cannabis is going to follow suit. So, if I had $1 bazillion to invest, I'd start buying acres and acres and acres of land somewhere with the potential hope that I can then grow.
Interesting. How should local government in Central Virginia respond or get ahead when it comes to cannabis? A topic we've talked on this show quite a bit. It does not seem that Albemarle or the city of Charlottesville is getting ahead of something that is clearly coming very quickly.
Well, I think it's this. I've researched a lot of laws, and we've talked about this. And I was just on the phone with my friends from Albemarle Cannabis Company, talking to them, and they're very educated and school me on what's going on. The laws that the governor is going to sign is confusing, meaning you're going to legally be able to grow 4 plants in your residence, okay, for personal use. It's going to be legal to have cannabis on your person and not get in trouble. And then if you get pulled over by the cops and they smell like you have been smoking something in your car, that will no longer be a reason to search your car or pull you out of your car, right? And it's going to be legal to smoke it or ingest it or however you want to use it. But they haven't outlined yet who can grow it for people then to purchase it to then use it. So there's a big chunk of legislation missing. So I think it's just kind of a wait and see game, right?
I love when she comes on the show here, how is the investor money or the investor mindset shifted from before COVID to post-COVID? Let's say an investor has some capital ready to put into action. What did that investor, man or woman, group or family do pre-COVID, and how did that mind shift change post-COVID?
Sure, I think investors, everybody looks at it differently. If you're investing millions, that's going to be a different type of investor than somebody who's investing $500,000, right?
Sure.
I think investors are always looking for, and especially with COVID, up and coming brands, up and coming concepts that haven't been done or seen before. Whereas I think investors pre-COVID were really looking for mature brands that had, pop, proof of performance, as you always like to say, and investing in those. I think people are more willing to invest in small businesses that have the potential to get big.
Okay, here's a question. Your family investors. What do you guys like?
We're really open to everything, right? Real estate's always interesting. To us, we deal with real estate every day with our business. We know restaurants, so we're always interested in new restaurant companies. We love Panera, but there's other great concepts out there that would be a good sister or brother company, right? I think the agricultural aspect of Virginia is of interest for sure.
Is the investing in restaurants more lukewarm now after we saw what this pandemic did to food and beverage?
I think it's how much money do you have to invest is the question, right? Because a lot of I think for an investor right now, you could take a great mom and pop concept that is hanging on by a thread for little to no investment, go in, partner with them, purchase a large portion of their business, influx them with cash to wait out COVID.
Okay. Because you're basically saying the last 13 months may have taken the 1 or 2 unit mom and pop, depleted their life savings. They probably took a HELOC, a home equity loan against their house just to try to save their business. Now they're at the point of they don't have bank financing as an option anymore. You can't get a HELOC against the house because you've already done it, and they've exhausted all their resources to getting capital. So someone could come in now, whether it's friends and family, whether it's angel, whether it's Series A, and say, look, your books are in really bad shape. I'm willing to give you this money, but I need 51%.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because because you can't take the last 13 months in sales to be real, right? So, for example, one of my favorite restaurants is Tavola.
Yeah.
I love that place. That place, if you didn't get there at 4:00, you're waiting 5 hours, and you're at the tiki bar across the street getting sloshed before you enjoy your meal.
Right.
We all did that, right? If they were going to go under, that would be an easy decision to go in, because they're going to bounce back. They have the following. That's an easy 51% for a little investment.
So the food and beverage piece does not scare you?
No, not at all. People are still good. Listen, food is never going to go away. Everyone has to eat, right? And the food and restaurant business is going to come back. I think the footprint is going to be different. I think how people run restaurants is going to be different. How much square space they start taking up is going to be different. I think they're going to still do Curbside, I think they're still going to do delivery. I don't think that's ever going away. So restaurants are going to come back. The footprint might just be different.
What other businesses do you see or you predict or your crystal ball says are coming on market soon post-COVID?
I definitely think, the cannabis, that's going to be big in Virginia, I think. Also, I think for Charlottesville, any sort of unique experience, whether that be a restaurant that has a really unique experience or, some sort of, restaurateur company, which there used to be one in Charlottesville and I loved it. Did you ever do that?
What does that mean?
It was like a restaurant tour group. So you would sign up and buy a ticket. You would meet downtown and you would go to one local restaurant and have a drink.
Okay.
Then you would go to the other restaurant and have an appetizer and the chef would come out and talk to you. Then you'd go to another place for the main. It was so fun. It was like the best date night ever.
And you're emphasizing experiences because that is something that cannot be cannibalized by the internet.
Correct. Absolutely. People in Charlottesville like to go out, right? They're outdoors. They love experiences. They love to go to the vineyards and the breweries. They love to hike. They like to go kayak, all this stuff. The internet I think is going to take away a majority of the clothing retailers, right? I mean, look, in Charlottesville, there's only 2 men retailers left for clothing.
What do you got? You got El Joe's behind Barracks Road.
Right. That one. And then I think there's only one more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything else closed. What is it? Beecroft and Bull closed?
Beecroft and Bull closed. There may be one. Is there still one on the downtown mall, Judah, that's open?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That was the only one I was thinking.
There might be. Is the men's and boys shop still open? Could you research that real quick, if you could, on Google? I think there might be one retailer men's clothing shop left. How about this? All right, I'll cut to the chase here. You guys get a lot of pitches, okay?
Sure.
Some of them are pretty damn crappy, and some of them are buttoned up and appealing. What's the advice that you would offer someone that is pitching an investor a concept to try to secure? And Judah's got that answer for us. What's that answer? Judah's going to talk on the microphone, Kelly.
What?
Yeah.
Judah?
Google says it's open.
Google says it's open on the downtown mall, is what Judah says. Okay. So what is the advice you offer to people that are pitching investors?
Come prepared. Have your financials in order. If you're asking for an investment, you better know what you're worth, right? Know what you're willing to give up. And have a clear vision of where you want your business to be in 5 years, 10 years. It's easy as that.
What are some of the characteristics of the bad pitches you've seen?
Bad pitches, having no vision of where they want to go. And they come in asking for something. They say, I need help. But they don't know what that is. Like, they don't have a clear vision of what they want from an investor. Is that just capital? Are they willing to give away a percentage? Do they want help on the business side? Do they want help with marketing or growth or franchise? Like, have an idea of what you're asking for. And I also would say, be really passionate about what you are doing. If you come in and you don't really love what you're doing, why would I invest in it if you don't like it? Why am I going to like it if you don't like it?
How much do you prioritize the owners and the people over the financials or the growth of the space? How much priority? Okay, there we go. Tell me why.
People come first because if I don't like you, I'm not going to want to work with you. So why would I waste my time and money and effort working with somebody endless hours if I don't really enjoy you or, like, what you're giving off, right? I want to really, if we're going to invest on anything ever, we have to like the people first. That's it. And you don't have to like everybody, but you got to have the same vision and how do you treat your employees? You got to be on the same page with that, right?
Okay, and I'm mindful of your time. I love when she comes on the program, guys. Kelly Jackson on the show. Her show, Women Changing Our World, Mondays, 10:15 a.m., I Love CVille Network. I'm going to throw this to you. Let's say you have 3 different levels. Let's say you got the 5-figure investor,
Okay.
the 6-figure investor,
Okay.
and the 7-figure investor.
Okay.
Where do they put their money? And what are the differences besides just the money?
I mean, I think you have to think about what you're passionate about, right? I mean, like, you're really passionate about racket sports, right? You love racket sports.
I do.
I'm not a big fan of racket sports. If some club came to you to invest in starting some racket sports company, you'd probably be like, yeah, I dig that. I'm into that, right? If they came to me, I'd be like, no, automatic pass.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you have to I think anything is possible if you like it, if you want to be in that game, right? If you don't know how to run restaurants, don't invest in restaurants. It's a lot of work, right? If you don't like working on the weekends, again, restaurants aren't going to be your jam.
Don't start a music festival or invest in a music festival.
Right. If you don't like music and you don't want to deal with people, don't invest in that, right? I mean, technology, of course, is always an easy investment for everybody. So I think it just depends on how much do you want to make, how much are you willing to risk, and what do you want to really be a part of 24 hours a day?
I love it. Final question for you. I know we're against the gun. I'm going 2 minutes over. Okay. Vaccines are getting out.
Yes.
Spring is sprung, even though it's pretty chilly today.
Right.
UVA is talking about some kind of hybrid graduation, and UVA announces late yesterday that they're 100% committed to in-person education in the fall, in-person living in Charlottesville for students, and students learning inside a classroom and not hybrid. UVA says that yesterday. What does Charlottesville and Central Virginia look like for the rest of 2021? And then what does Charlottesville and Central Virginia look like, say, next year as kids 12 and under, my guy, your girls, start getting this vaccine?
Listen, I believe in Charlottesville. I think people love Charlottesville. I think they're going to come out in droves to support local businesses is my hope. We're already kind of starting to see that with people being vaccinated. Like, people are out and about more. Restaurant businesses are picking up. You see more people meeting at the vineyards or feeling safe to go to the breweries or sit on the patios. I think summer is going to be great for us. Going into the fall with the new vaccine stuff coming out, I think it was Pfizer said that their vaccine lasts for 6 months. Well, I mean, listen, I would be a bazillionaire, Jerry, if I could tell you where we were going to be. I hope a majority of people in Charlottesville will be vaccinated and, in 6 months we'll be on the road to better times. What do you think?
I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm going to ask you a tough question here. You've been vaccinated.
Yes.
Okay. You've been vaccinated. Do you feel comfortable going to Tavola at the Shishetti Bar inside with Adam drinking cocktails in a tiny restaurant?
I would at 4:00 before it got crowded. Right? And I've said this before on your show. I think restaurants should have vaccine happy hour. You show your vaccination card and you have from 4 to 6.
Why not?
Before.
Why not at 8:00?
Because I think for restaurants, that's a really busy time. and I think it would take away too much percentage of their sales.
Why not at 8 o'clock, you sitting at the bar with Adam drinking cocktails at 8 p.m. at Tavla?
I just am not comfortable enough being in a small space with a whole bunch of people without a mask on. If I could be 6 feet apart, sure. But you're in that example, it's just...
You can't there. Yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the next part of my question. I thought you would say this. The next part of my question is, when does Kelly Jackson, who is the matriarch of this 4-person family, the 4-person family goes as Kelly Jackson goes? Is that safe to say?
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah,
yes.
Pretty much mine as well. It goes as Lauren goes, okay? It's just how it is, all right? It's just how it is. When does Kelly Jackson feel comfortable sitting at the tiniest restaurant? I mean, what is the other tiniest restaurant in Charlottesville besides Tavla? Maybe Petit Pois on the downtown mall. Maybe. And Petit Pois got a large outside patio. But maybe Petit Pois from an inside standpoint. When does Kelly Jackson feel comfortable, which means Adam feels comfortable, having cocktails at 8 p.m. inside at Tavla?
I think once the vaccination opens up to anyone who wants to get it can get it. I'm trusting and hopeful that a majority of people that live in Charlottesville do want it and are going to get it. So I think probably in, a month or two, right? Like, it's going to be warm. I think the numbers are going to continue to go down. I think a majority of the people will be vaccinated. So then I feel comfortable.
We had Peter Snyder on the show on either Tuesday or Wednesday. He's running for governor, okay?
Yeah.
And he made the comment that the vaccine passport, which is show to get in, was against our rights, liberty and rights as Americans. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think you can force people to get the vaccine, right? I agree with you. You can't force people to do that. But I think private companies, like the airlines, you get a choice. You get the vaccine, you can fly. You don't want the vaccine, you can't fly. I mean, it's just like sending your kids to school, right? They have to have a whole list of vaccinations to be able to go into schools to make sure that population is safe. I mean, I think if you do it like that, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I think I see something wrong with it if you can't cross state lines. I think that's unconstitutional. But I think private companies can decide what they want to do and leave it up to them.
Kelly Jackson, the show is yours. A final word for everybody that's watching from Kelly Jackson.
Get your vaccine so we all can go back to normal. Please, please, please support local businesses, especially on the downtown mall and in the corner. Be mindful of where you're buying your things. And let's work really hard to get back to normal and get our CVille back to what we love it to be.
KJ, you crushed it. You always
You're the
crush
best.
it. Thank you.
I'll see you Monday.
Have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday.
You too. Cheers.
All right, cheers. Kelly Jackson, Jamie Schwartz host Women Changing Our World Monday morning, 10:15 a.m. I Love CVille Network. Monday morning, 10:15 a.m. Women Changing Our World. Find them online, womenchangingourworld.com. Follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. So much I want to cover on the show. You have the Patty Zeller video ready to go? I want to close with that video. In fact, someone tell Patty Zeller we're about to give her serious props on the I Love CVille Network. I want to close the show with that video. I'm going to show you one of many reasons why Patty Zeller and Animal Connection are potentially, arguably, the best retailer in Central Virginia, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for that. I want to get to some comments here first. Ray Cadell, friend of this program, watching the show. He says, yes, the men's and boys shop is still open. He says the wedding business, 50% of his income is the wedding business. Ray Cadell is trying to get back. The governor is not helping us. Real estate is difficult, especially for a guy like me who has made a 35-plus year career helping mostly first-time home buyers. Well said. He says, small mom-and-pop companies struggling. I'm living that right now. In the past, I've always been able to outwork my challenges. Ray Cadell, you are a winner. I have no doubt in my mind you will outwork your challenges, my friend. I feel it in my heart, in my bones, and in my soul. I want to emphasize this. When the cost of housing in the city of Charlottesville, a 50-year-old cottage in freaking Belmont that's under 1,000 square feet is trading for over $400,000. When homes like that are trading for prices like that, the first-time home buyer cannot afford to live in this community. The first-time home buyer cannot afford to live in this community. There's a reason why Waynesboro, Fluvanna County, Greene County, and the outlying counties in Central Virginia are going gangbusters. Nelson is another good example because they have housing stock that's affordable and offers you more value for less money. This is a trend we have to follow closely, especially as the Code building comes to market, especially as Dairy Central gets fully populated with businesses. The Code building, the old ice park, Dairy Central on Preston Avenue, the Co-Construct building, Willow Tree, they are bringing in people with substantial salaries from outside the market, and these folks are buying up the housing. This is a trend we better be mindful of. Neil Williamson watching the program. Love when Neil Williamson watches the show. He says, from December 1, a Daily Progress Allison Rabel story, quote, Albemarle County officials have given their support to Holistic Virginia, a company that wants to operate a medical cannabis facility on Avon Street Extended. Both the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors and Economic Development Authority sent letters of support to a committee with the Virginia Board of Pharmacy for an application for Holistic Virginia LLC to operate a pharmaceutical processing facility in Albemarle. End quote. Thank you very much for that, Neil Williamson and Allison Rabel. Thank you, Albemarle County, for pursuing Holistic Virginia LLC, a pharmaceutical processing facility. I do know this. Fluvanna County is pursuing the same facility. I believe Greene County is pursuing this same facility. Local government. City of Charlottesville. 5 counselors on City Hall, on the dais. Get past the stigma of cannabis and realize that this is new jobs, economic stimulation for a budget-strapped municipality, and frankly, a space that is going to explode. Absolutely explode, much like booze and tobacco exploded at one time. Do not be behind the times. Jamie Turner, thank you for the kind words. She said, an absolutely inspiring story, Jerry Miller. More comments coming in. Lampo is another example. Lauren puts that in the feed. One of the smallest restaurants out there, Lauren says, is Lampo from an inside standpoint. The 3 tiniest dining rooms in the city of Charlottesville. What are the 3 tiniest dining rooms in the city of Charlottesville? Tavilla, Petit Pois, and Lampo. Of those dining rooms, I would, and I don't have this answer, I'm just talking out loud here. I'd say Petit Pois dining room inside. Petit Pois dining room inside has the least amount of seats. Tavilla inside has the second least amount of seats. And Lampo inside has the third least amount of seats. 3 phenomenal restaurants. 3 phenomenal restaurants. I'll say it again, 3 phenomenal restaurants. What dining rooms, restaurant dining rooms, have less seating than Lampo, Petit Pois, and Tavilla? Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire from Virginia Beach, says Alley Light. Alley Light has a tiny dining room. That's a great suggestion, Scott. I'd say Alley Light is in the top 7, maybe the top 10. I think Alley Light has more interior seating than Petit Pois, Tavilla, and Lampo. What other ones am I missing from an interior dining standpoint? Which places in Charlottesville City have the smallest dining room for seating? I think it's Petit Pois, the least amount of interior seating, Tavola 2, Lampo 3. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. I'm just having a conversation here with my friends. More comments coming in. I love when you guys watch the show. James Watson, hiring locally is one key. There's 3 to 5 publicly traded companies building headquarters in Charlottesville as we speak. They need to hire locally. Also, nationwide companies like Google and IBM are thinking outside the box. They are now hiring more people and not requiring a bachelor's degree. We need to attract a major employer that pays well, provides training, and does not make a college degree a requirement that eliminates talented people. I learned more working in restaurants than I did in graduate school or college. I will echo that. I learned more I own an advertising agency. An advertising agency is confessional for business. I have the C-suite of mid-cap businesses. I'm talking, we have clients that do $20 to $30 million a year in revenue. I have their C-suite sitting across from me at this building, telling me the good, the bad, the ugly of their business. I have the owner, not the C-suite, just the owner. Might be a team of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in that business. Real small business, mom and pop business we represent as well. Sitting across from me telling me the good, the bad, the ugly of their business. I learned more in a month managing an advertising agency, talking to business owners or to C-suite executives about the good, the bad, the ugly of their business than I did in my entire time at the University of Virginia. I'm not knocking the University of Virginia, but there's theory and book smarts, and then there's actual street smarts and real life application. How many times have you utilized cursive writing? How many times have you utilized calculus or SOHCAHTOA? Who knows what SOHCAHTOA is? Judah raises his hand. Want me to challenge you on that, Judah?
Sure.
Okay, I could do SOHCAHTOA. All right, go. What's SOHCAHTOA?
If I remember from 25 years or so ago in math class, it says sine over adjacent.
Sine opposite over a hypotenuse. So, S-O-H.
S-O-H. That's right.
TOA.
Tangent opposite adjacent.
Okay.
Is cosine adjacent. Hypotenuse.
There you go. There you go, Judah Wickharen. Nicely done, my friend. SOHCAHTOA. How many times have we used SOHCAHTOA in real life? Right? Let me ask you a question. Why is college, forget college, why is middle school and high school not this? Here's how you balance your effing checkbook. Here's how you pay your bills on time. Here's how you read a balance sheet and a P&L. Here's how you keep your child alive. Our little boy was born at Martha Jefferson Hospital. Martha Jefferson, thank you for providing what was like a luxurious room for my wife to go to battle for 36 hours to birth a bowling ball through her, you know what, okay? Once that baby came, they sent in a lactation consultant for 20 minutes to talk to you, and then they say it's time for you to leave. There's another mom coming in here to birth a child. And dad's carrying out the baby thing. What's that baby thing called? The baby holder. What the heck is that?
I don't know what.
What's the baby thing called? The baby carriage or the thing that's really heavy that you put into the car seat. What the freak is that thing called? Dad's carrying out the baby holder because mom just went to battle for 36 hours to push a bowling ball through her you-know-what. She's exhausted. She gets in the back seat of the car and basically is, oh my God, I haven't slept for two and a half months. Why isn't school, here's how you keep your son or daughter alive. Here's how you change your diaper. Here's how you pay your bills. Here's how you balance your checkbook. Here's how you write your resume. Here's how you interview for a job. Here's how you talk to someone in banking when you're trying to get a loan to buy a house. Here are the protocols you need to follow to buy a home. Why is so much education theory instead of practical knowledge that we need to survive? SOHCAHTOA, show me how to carry the one and keep my checkbook even. Calculus, show me how to read a P&L and a balance sheet. Cursive, show me how to apply for a loan to buy a house. Kelly Lewis, I love when you watch the program, Kelly Lewis. So true, Jerry. What I have learned working in restaurants is absolutely invaluable. James Watson, Elon Musk said a college degree isn't required for a job at Tesla. And that's why Elon Musk is someone that will go down in history as one of the quintessential, most talented C-suite executives and founders in American, if not global history. Curtis Shaver, the old Belmont barbecue spot. Oh, Curtis Shaver just got the number one. Curtis Shaver just got the number one. The old Belmont barbecue spot, guys, across from La Tasa, right next to the local. Is it Comol? That is the smallest dining room in the city of Charlottesville. Curtis Shaver, the owner of Peloton Station, is 100% right. That is the smallest dining room in the city of Charlottesville. The old Belmont barbecue spot across from Bell, right next to the local. That is the smallest dining room in the city of Charlottesville. That's number one. And I'm drawing a blank on the gentleman's name. He joined us on Patty Zeller's show, Animal Connection. He was the manager at Mas Tapas for so long, the front of the house guy. Just a fantastic restaurateur. You know who I'm talking about, Judah. He made us those fabulous drinks. Someone help me with the owner's name. He's just a great guy. That is the smallest dining room in Charlottesville. Okay? Penny Pois is 2, Tavla 3, Lampo 4. What is the gentleman's name that owns that business? Oh, I'm blanking on his name. Vanessa Parkhill has this comment. I realize everyone being vaccinated is important for herd immunity, but if I'm worried about me getting COVID and I'm vaccinated, not seeing why I need to surround myself with other vaccinated people.
Binos Bustamante.
Binos Bustamante. Muy buen chico. Gracias, amigo. Binos Bustamante owns Comol, and I'm saying the name of the restaurant wrong. Rebel Grote. Am I saying your name wrong, Rebel Grote? He says, I 1,000% agree broadband is as important now as gasoline is for our vehicles. I mean, if I'm running for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, I prioritize broadband as one of the key tenets of my platform. Just like I prioritize economic growth, just like I prioritize education equality, just like I prioritize school and early start funding across Albemarle, just like I prioritize the improvement of the relationship between Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville, just like I prioritize sports tourism. Can you explain to me why we have the University of Virginia in our backyard, yet we have no regional soccer tournaments, no regional lacrosse tournaments, why we allow all the sports tourism dollars to go 50 minutes down Interstate 64 to Richmond, Virginia, where they host regional soccer tournaments, regional lacrosse tournaments, regional baseball tournaments, regional pickleball tournaments? Where are the regional tournaments that attract parents and their kids from across the Mid-Atlantic to Central Virginia? We have the best soccer teams in the country from an NCAA standpoint at the University of Virginia. The best basketball teams in the country from an NCAA standpoint led by Tony Bennett. The best lacrosse teams in the country. The best tennis teams in the country. Some of the best baseball teams in the country at the University of Virginia. Where are the regional sports tourism dollars? They are nowhere to be found. There's a campaign right there. The prioritization of economic growth, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and new job creation in Albemarle. The prioritization of reliable and ubiquitous broadband internet across Albemarle County. The prioritization of reliable and ubiquitous getting on a bus in Albemarle and getting to the epicenter of employment. Transportation. Where is reliable transportation in this community? Where's the money for early start funding for schools? Why are some kids going to school for the first time as kindergartners, while other kids have been in school for 3 years, 4 years before they get to the kindergarten? What's up with the relationship between the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, and where are the sports tourism dollars? Incremental revenue that would keep the county from taxing us as citizens. Find incremental tax dollars, incremental sources for tax revenue, as opposed to regressive tax revenue, meals tax, real estate tax. Those are regressive. They hurt the folks living financially on the margin. It makes so much sense to me. It just seems like common sense to me. So frustrating. Thank you, Curtis. You're 100% right. It's definitely Binos Bustamante in the old Belmont barbecue spot. That is the smallest dining room. You're 100% right, my friend. All right, that's the show. I want to close with a video from what I think is the top retailer in the city of Charlottesville. And when you see this video, boys and girls, you will see courage. You will see someone willing to do. I'll tell you a quick story. You got that video ready to go? Mm-hmm. One of the most impactful teachers of my life is Mr. Ed Gillespie. Mr. Ed Gillespie was my pre-algebra teacher, my geometry teacher, and my pre-calculus teacher. He taught me 3 different years. And he had us write an acronym atop of our papers, top of our tests. And the acronym was DWYGD. The acronym stood for Do What You Gotta Do. DWYGD. This acronym meant so much to Mr. Ed Gillespie. He gave us 5 bonus points anytime we wrote that acronym on our paper. Now here I am, nearly 40 years old. I'm 39. And I'm still DWYGD in everything I'm doing in life. Do what you gotta do. If there's any lesson that has been the most impactful for me from my schooling, elementary, middle school, high school, and my time at the University of Virginia, it is DWYGD. Do what you gotta do. In love, with your relationship, in business, to survive, to find a quality of life, to be the best parent possible, to create wealth, retirement. Do what you gotta do. Patty Zeller, Animal Connection, embodies do what you gotta do. And for nearly 20 years, this business has been the epicenter of everything positive in the animal community. Look at Patty Zeller doing what she's gotta do. Judah Wickower in 3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
Hey, this is Patty Z from Animal Connection and the Easter Beagle Hannah. We want to invite you to come to the Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April the 3rd. You're going to register at Animal Connection. We're going to register at Animal Connection between 10 and 10:45. We're going to release the hounds, including Hannah, at 11 o'clock. You're going to be hunting for bags filled with all kinds of goodies for your dogs. Some of them have $10 gift certificates in it. Woohoo! And then we're also going to have 3 of these big old golden eggs here, and they're going to have $25 gift certificates in them. So you don't want to miss coming out for that. Also, Green Dogs Unleashed are going to be here, so you can meet adoptable dogs. See you Saturday. Happy Easter.
I love you, Patty Zeller. I freaking love you, Patty Zeller. I love your do what you gotta do mindset, Patty Zeller. Seriously. That's the show. My name is Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille Show. Have a good weekend, and thank you kindly for joining us on the program.